Book now at leadersloungelive.com.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Here's the final fence in the Randox Grand National, and over in front and over 3 lengths clear Manila Times from Balco de Flo. Any second now continues to stay on. Burrow Saint wandering out into the centre of the track. They head towards the elbow with over a furlong to cover in the National, but it's RACHAEL BLACKMORE and Manila Times who are out 4 lengths clear of Balco de Flo, and any second now Burrow Saint back in fourth is running on empty. 150 yards to go in the National. Manila Times for J.P. McManus, Henry de Bromhead, and more significantly RACHAEL BLACKMORE. History in the National. Manila Times wins.
Well, indeed, history. Aintree Grand National winner RACHAEL BLACKMORE aboard Manila Times, also known as Cheltenham Festival champion jockey RACHAEL BLACKMORE 2021. Fairy tale year gets more surreal by the week. To discuss, we have 3-time Cheltenham Festival winner and third on Seabass in the Grand National of 2012, Katie Walsh, and we have racing journalist Johnny Ward as well to break it down. Katie, we reached out to RACHAEL to come on the show this evening. She's interviewed out. I think she's done that many interviews. She needs a break from it all. It's just an insane season, quite incredible. She's an overnight superstar after about a decade of hard work.
Yeah, she sure is. Hey, Joe, how are you? Yeah, sure, listen, it was absolutely brilliant. I think I've turned into a press officer, to be honest with you. But, yeah, sure, it was just great to be there to witness this. It was history, and it was unbelievable.
You'd have a real sense of the demands of this race and what it takes to win it. I know it's become a safer race over the years, but you're still talking 40 riders and 30 fences between you and the finishing line, and you know, the distinct possibility for chaos at any turn. So give us a sense of how she approached it and what she did right in this race to win so comfortably in the end.
Listen, I don't think this race, I mean, obviously this race is so special because it's only on once a year, but there's a sense of chaos in every race that every jump jockey goes out in. It doesn't have to be 40 runners and all those fences. It's just that this race is just so special, and it has become an awful lot safer over the years with the fences and the modifications that Aintree have made. But it's just her tactical awareness, I suppose, that is her biggest attribute, and the way that she can forgive and forget and move on is what sets her apart, I suppose. Mm.
The tactical awareness, is that something she has a natural instinct for, or have you seen her hone that and improve that over the years?
Oh, that's improved, and it's still improved. You know, I would have said she was a way better rider this year than what she was last year.
Right.
You know, she faced into Cheltenham last year with 16 rides for Henry, and the first year she had 4 or 5. I'd say the improvement over the last 3 years has been unbelievable. She's constantly learning. She's constantly wanting to improve. And she's got a lot of confidence now as well. She knows when she's going too fast. She knows when it's going too quick. She's very confident now within her own ability, and she can really kind of play it out and foresee what's going to happen in a race. Now, listen, sometimes she gets it wrong, and like everyone gets it wrong. But she seems to get it right more than she gets it wrong.
And Katie, can that improvement happen off the course, and can you work on that, you know, in your own private time, or is that just really down to experience?
There's nothing like race riding. You can ride out 15 or 20 lots a day if you want, but there's nothing like actual race experience to come back in and sit down and go, what actually just happened there?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we went to go gallop, but obviously we didn't. The winners were in the first 3 or 4, or we must have flown because everything came from the back. You can definitely improve it.
Yeah.
I think with technology nowadays and replays and whatnot, go home and sit down, watch race. Just watch it. Watch people that you admire, watch people that you like, and see how they rode the race. And that's how you improve. Johnny,
great to have you with us as well. Further to Katie's point, it seemed like right throughout Cheltenham, she made it look very, very easy. You know, this business of race riding and picking the right gap and choosing when to ease into that gap and where to place yourself in a race. And, similarly at the weekend, we saw all those attributes again. And I guess one of the real, hallmarks of anybody who's exceptional at what they do is they tend to make it look easier than it is.
Yeah, that's it, Joe. I was looking at her stats earlier. In 2015, 2016, she had 170 rides and 6 winners. So, quick maths there, and you're talking about 3 or 4%, and her strike rate is now about 18%, and that, I think she laid the groundwork back then for the jockey that she is today. You're talking about 5 or 6 years ago. She just works really, really hard, and she's now gotten into a position where her career trajectory's upward curve has essentially coincided with Henry de Bromhead's. Now, in the cold light of day, what Henry de Bromhead has achieved in terms of Cheltenham and the Gold Cup, and the Gold Cup and also the Grand National, is a far bigger story in terms of, cold racing analysis, that a trainer can be so dominant from a position where he was nowhere near as dominant, because ultimately Katie be a better judge of this than me. The jockey is somewhere between 1 to 10% of the victory, probably around about 1 to 5% really, because it's all about the horse and then the jockey getting the extra. But Rachel has worked so hard in a sport that, and I'm looking at this now, there's basically no female jockeys to rival Rachel in Ireland over jumps. There are none. There aren't really any coming through. And you'd wonder now, maybe 10 years down the line, will Rachel have been the catalyst for a change? Because I think that would be a good thing for people to be inspired by her, and young girls really who want to take part in sport. Because I know Rachel downplays the gender thing, but for me it is very important, and racing needs to sell that. But I think what's really significant is that she's allied herself with Henry de Bromhead. She's exceptionally hard-working, and she's really, really grounded. I think anyone in life who achieves a lot quickly can basically lose the run of themselves. She's not done that, and I'm not surprised that she didn't come on this evening, because she's not the most... she wants to do her talking on the racetrack, and I can be fairly certain that, she went into Aintree, I think, when she won an Arthur Moore's horse in the bumper. I think she did about 25 rides without a winner going into the last day of Aintree. She fell on Jason the Militant. She knows that, this is a race, this is a sport that will bring you down very quickly in terms of luck, in terms of bad fortune, in terms of people willing to knock you. She knows all of that, and I think what she deserves a lot of credit for is how exceptionally grounded she is. And I think, again, the fact that she's with Henry de Bromhead, he's a seriously driven operator. I think the two of them just dovetail exceptionally well, and you couldn't almost have one without the other at the moment, and all the successes they've had in these big races this year.
Yeah, Katie, it's far too easy for us to portray this as like everything's going perfect for Rachel and there are no bumps in the road, because even, Ruby in the Irish Examiner, I don't know if you read the piece, but he was saying, like, the reality is, you fall on average 1 in 19 times. And he said of Thursday, he said Jason the Militant dumped her far too easily in the Aintree hurdle on Thursday, but she responded by winning the Grand National, because she can do it all: park the physical pain, take the pressure of the setbacks and the defeats, and carry on delivering. That is a big aspect to her success as well. It's not all smooth sailing. More often than not, it's not smooth sailing.
Oh, without doubt. And she knows that. I mean, as Johnny just said there, I wouldn't say that the Easter Festival over Fairyhouse was a rip-roaring success for her. I don't think she got a winner. And that's the way this game goes. But you need to be able to park that, leave that festival, move on to the next one. Not even a festival, move on to the next day, Joe. And just be like, right, new day, let's go. Let's forgive and forget. Whatever happened yesterday, I don't think that was my fault. You've no doubt when she fell off of Jason Hilton, I'd say she was like a bull. You know what I mean? She didn't come in and say, oh, that wasn't my fault. I mean, it was but that happens. It happens absolutely to everyone. But she doesn't let it bother her. She goes, listen, that was done. I can't, I'll try my best for that not to happen again, and just move on. And you need to be able to do that.
Yeah. So has she firmly, Katie, established herself as amongst the very top echelon of jockeys in the sport today? Oh,
without doubt. Definitely. And I would have thought, after the way she rode in Cheltenham was absolutely brilliant. The way she's riding all season, really. Her work ethic, she's right up there. She's not... some people, I think, grow through their careers and you'd go... often I'd hear people say, yeah, he was champion jockey, but he wasn't good at such and such or whatever. But, she's right up there now. She's making all the right decisions. She's looking the part. She's improved so much, and she's probably going to improve again. Mm.
On the gender thing, you're the perfect person to ask about it, because I'd say you got sick of these questions, and even I don't know where to place it in the story or when you talk about her. It feels very antiquated to kind of lead with it. I guess today, because... she is the first woman to win the Grand National. That is a story. The first time anything happens, that is a story, of course. But in general terms, you must have been sick of it coming up routinely, or did you feel, oh no, this is important, I want, it should be noted I'm a female and I am, trailblazing in my own way. Where are you in that whole area? Because it's come up a lot, obviously, over the last 2 months.
I suppose, Joe, in some ways, I think, I can see, I never saw it like that. She doesn't see it like that. Nina never saw it like that. We were just doing something that we absolutely loved, and we happened to be female. But I definitely can see, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And that's a slogan that's been out this year, 2020, actually, last year, for women in sport. And that's Rachel, isn't it? Like, if you can't see it, you can't be it. If there was young girls growing up that want to be a national hunt jockey, they've seen Rachel Moore. They're looking at Rachel Blackmore now every day, riding top of her game. Possibly might be champion jockey this year, third last year, second the year before. She has to be inspiring to young children. Never mind male or female.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to say about it. I can see where she's coming from. You know what I mean?
It's tricky.
It was history on Saturday, without doubt.
Yeah, so you have to note history. I mean, the context is kind of interesting. So 173rd year of the National. It's 44 years on from Charlotte Brew being the first female jockey to even partake. But then, 11 of the first 15 national rides for female jockeys, I was reading, were priced 100 to 1 or more. So they were on no hopers. Now, I think when you rode in 2012, Seabass was about 8 to 1, co-favourite. That was another step forward. But it just is interesting. Say, take the last 15 years. Ginger McCain said in 05 that he didn't think a female jockey would ever be able to win the National. And Shark Hanlon was saying, a decade ago when Rachel was coming through, not all owners loved hearing that a female jockey was on the horse. Would your sense, Katie, be that there's been another kind of quantum leap in the last decade?
I'd say there definitely has been, but I'd say you'll see that across the board, not just in horse racing, not just in sport, I'd say in business.
Yeah.
Would you? I
think it parallels a lot of the progress of the last 10 years.
Yeah, massively. And this game has changed. I mean, obviously Carrie Ford and Forrest Gunner back in 2005, he could have nearly gone off favourite that time. Yeah, it has... But I'd say across the board it has changed, really, especially on the flat as well, with the likes of Holly Doyle, Hayley Turner. There's definitely... I think this is a great game. It's a great industry and a great sport, and it's always been there if you worked hard enough. And you... Like Rachel she's worked so hard. She's taken the falls. She's taken any opportunity she's given. She's taken the bull by the horn, and she's delivered and she's improved. And she's just naturally talented as well, Joe. You know what I mean? She has it, and some people are just born with it, and some people aren't. You can't make someone into a Messi by telling them to go out in the back garden and kick the ball up and down there for hours and days. They either have it. Or they don't. They can train and work as hard as they want, but some people just naturally have that ability, and some people don't. But that's just life, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And if you had to it's probably a tough question. What does she have? What is it? What's the key kind of thing she has when you say she has it?
I'd say just natural talent.
Johnny, where does this take her now this year? As in Cheltenham, and then winning the Grand National is the cherry on the icing. Is her, because people don't, how it all works in terms of finances and everything. Is the landscape of her life transformed now? Does she become a stable jockey? Will she have offers coming in from everywhere, or will life pretty much just keep going as it's been going? Freelance, riding a lot for Henry de Bromhead, and no massive change.
I don't think there'll be massive change. She's going to end up this season such that she'll have had about 2,500 rides in Ireland alone over the last 5 seasons. So you're averaging about 500 a season, which is a lot. She might decide to be a little bit more selective now, because she's obviously gotten to a position where she was challenging for a sort of champion jockey or thereabouts is one thing, but now she's kind of become almost like an accepted go-to rider in the Grade 1 races and in the big races. So generally, as a jockey, as you get older, and it's like anyone really in life, as you get better opportunities, you're not as maybe inclined to take the lesser ones, and maybe she'll be a little bit more selective. But that's a dangerous anathema for her, in the sense that she just works so hard. And Katie alluded to there, her ability to get over falls, literally within half an hour of being thrown on the turf on good to firm ground at 30, 40 miles an hour, she'll have a winner, and she just doesn't think anything of this. And that's why I think she's such a pioneer for what she does, because, you know, horse racing Ireland and people who are here to promote racing had a horror show this year in terms of PR, and it had to struggle to get over that. And she was somebody who basically took the bull by the horns and saved racing in some respects. That might be an exaggeration, but in terms of PR, what she has done, you just couldn't buy it.
No.
And she should be. I'm pretty sure she should be on billboards, you know, with muck on her face, and shown that she's a woman at the top of her profession, in a profession in which, and I'm interested to see if Katie thinks this will change, because, you know, I'm looking at the stats. Emma Toomey and Sarah Kavanagh, they're virtually like no female riders apart from amateurs. And Sarah Kavanagh's winner this season was in a lady riders race. There are no female jockeys really in Ireland coming through over jumps. And I hope that Rachel will change this, because she's shown that if you work hard enough, for me, the gender thing, the likes of Nina Carberry and Katie Walsh, they kind of rendered that redundant, because they were so good that people didn't care, and it generally became a thing that it didn't matter that they were women. But will her success bring about change in jumps racing? Because in a sport that's 50-50 more or less in terms of people involved in it staff-wise, there's still a massive imbalance over jumps, and Rachel should be able to change that.
It's an interesting point. Any thoughts on that one, Katie?
Yeah, you know, listen, I suppose she will definitely have opened the door for girls that maybe want to turn conditional, that could. But lads, it's so competitive in Ireland. Like, I mean, she turned with the backing of the Sharks, saying, "I will give you rights. Yeah. You will ride all these horses," and you know that's what you kind of need. But there's loads of lads looking for jobs like that, for some trainer to turn around and say, "You will ride every horse in here." You know, there's just. Sometimes there just isn't enough rides, and there isn't enough jobs with the amount of people that are there. You know, and there's just more boys than girls that want to do this. And that's the reality of it. Like, I mean, lads, I wouldn't have been able to take the falls that Rachel took, or is taking, mentally. The physical, yeah, I'd get over it. But the mental, I'd be like, Jesus, do I really have to go back out there again now and face into one of them again? You know, and that's what sets her apart. And there will be girls that might think they want to do it, and they might get a few slaps, and they'll go, do you know what, actually, that this isn't for me. Like, there is a 50-50 there. There is a lot of girls working on stable yards all over the country. But if you turned around to them and said, girls, would you like to be a jockey? Most of them would say, no, actually, I just like looking after them and riding them out and being part of it. But no, I don't really want to get those falls. Like, if you were guaranteed this was 100% safe and no one was going to get a fall, I'd say there'd be loads of more girls doing it.
Yeah. Listen,
but I just don't think from that. That's what sets her apart. That she can really, because she is getting hard falls as well, but she's bouncing back up, dusting herself off, and she's gone again. Like, that's mental strength.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal.
It is. I wouldn't be taking those falls either. I mean, it's just a human thing. I mean, Jesus, it's a tough sport. It's a tough business, to say the least, but she's a phenomenon at the moment. Johnny, thank you for your time. Katie, always great to have you on. Thanks so much.
Cheers, Joe. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Cheers, guys. And our coverage is with thanks to Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. You can visit hri.ie. Back in 1 sec.
Off the ball on News Talk.
What does the future of our country look like? Is the staycation here to stay? Will online shopping replace the high street for good? What about a 4-day working week? In a new series on News Talk, we're looking at how we can reimagine Ireland in some of the most important facets of Irish life. Follow the series and have your say on News Talk.
Would you like to empower your employees to securely work from anywhere and at any time? Are you thinking of cloud migration but are unsure where to start? Future Range IT can help you shape a new experience for your workforce with Microsoft Modern Workplace Solutions. Find out more today at futurerange.ie.
Whether you're looking for a mortgage or you need to move your mortgage, you want to be certain that you're making the right choice. You want good value, a quick and easy application process, and a bank that's going to be with you all the way. In other words, a mortgage you'll be right at home with. Talk to a Bank of Ireland mobile mortgage manager and find out how we can